It's Stu from Retro Hollywood. Soul Survivor, 1970. A movie nobody seems to know how to describe. Is it a disaster movie, a ghost movie, a World War II movie, a fantasy movie? Well, maybe it's all of those things, but there's only one way to describe it. It's one big 135-minute Twilight Zone. That's the only way to explain Soul Survivor from 1970. During World War II, an American bomber plane went down in the desert. In 1970, the spirits of the crew still remain, and you're looking at them. The thing is, these spirits can only hang around the wreckage of the bomber plane. If they dare go too far out into the desert, they simply have to go back again. If you are having trouble remembering this movie, don't worry too much about it. It got a very limited amount of screenings for reasons I will never know why, but thankfully it is now available on Blu-ray for all to see. Just like The Twilight Zone, this is a thinking man's production. It's basically an all-male cast, so if you're looking for attractive females, you will not get that. This might just be a television movie, but don't be turned off by that. The dialogue is just so sharp and clever. That's the main appeal, or one of the main appeals, is the dialogue. It is just so good, you want to return to the movie just to hear the lines spoken and spoken again. Okay, let's get away from the spirits or the ghosts and talk about the main cast. William Shatner is in this. He's in charge of the 1970 investigation into this bomber sitting in the desert. And there is also Richard Basehart. Richard Basehart is the sole survivor of the wreckage, and it seems he has done something wrong in the distant past, and he seems to be making every effort to cover it up. And while this investigation is going on, the previously mentioned ghosts or spirits are just looking on and watching things unfold. Now, should I add crime drama to the list of definitions for this movie? When I went to IMDb, that was one of the interesting things. People really seemed baffled as to how to define this movie. People like to define movies, and people simply could not define Soul Survivor. As stated previously, I personally define it as a big, fat, long Twilight Zone episode, but the Twilight Zone episode it resembles is King 9 Will Not Return, and quite frankly, I'm not the biggest fan of that particular Twilight Zone episode. But anyway, let's move on from that. Let's stick to the Twilight Zone, a big, fat, long, 90-minute Twilight Zone. That sounds good. Don't be turned off by the fact that it was a made-for-television movie. As you can see by this image, it's one of the most cinematic epics you could possibly imagine. I mean, this is just absolutely brilliant. With the exception of a few episodes of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, I've never been a big ghost story person, so that makes my interest in this movie even more unusual. But whatever, you know a movie is special when you like every single cast member, the support cast, the main cast, the whole shebang. I love Soul Survivor. I give this movie 10 out of 10. Stu from Australia, signing out.